make sure that we influenced enough pipe from like what we had last year to this year, and how we go about that. And so, and a lot of events people are saying virtual booths aren't working. They're not working.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, yeah, that's a good point. I want to pick.
Yeah. And I'd like to switch that on its head and say, I completely agree with you, because some of the data that I found is that, okay, we're building these virtual events on all of these large trade shows. It's taking us sometimes 2 days because we can't figure out how to do that. But a company just recently called me and said, hey, we build virtual events so you can have one standing virtual event and then you can just upload it every time. I'm like, okay, now that's starting to feel like a success. I have all of these other booths sitting in a warehouse waiting, but why wouldn't I build a virtual booth? That makes so much sense to me now. And I think, understanding that we need to figure out what success is with these virtual events. Another thing, swag. And I'm not taking any credit for this because I have an amazing team, but we are really looking for engagement. And a lot of those times, an engagement, people would come up and talk to us at a trade show and talk and get a T-shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
How do we turn that into a positive now that we don't have that ability? And one of the women on my team was like, hey, let's build a way that they can go to our virtual booth and also go to our virtual swag store. And so that's happening. And we're actually starting to get engagement, and she's asking for more information when they pick up those swag items. And that's how we're moving them through the funnel.
So one sort of point I had was, this is my observation, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? At least in the virtual side, the own hosted events are a lot more successful than third-party events. Is that a fair assumption to make?
I again want to say it depends on the show. So yes, for me currently, but that's not fair to say in the industry. I actually want to stick up for the trade show industry a little bit here. They also had to flip it on their heads, and so they're also like, how are we doing this? What's going on? How do we move forward? I don't think that some of these teams were prepared for a global pandemic. I have never managed through a global pandemic. I always talk about that. This is a resume writer for me. So I think that there are successful shows. I think the successful shows that are happening are the ones that are able to flex with the time. They're also the ones that are able to, have a hybrid model, and we can talk about that.
But so now you guys have looked at what worked and what didn't work, right? And you sort of gave me some few points on it. Right? So how are you guys thinking about 2021? Did that insights and data inform you about how you're planning for 2021?
Field marketing, you shouldn't change. You have to continue to support the field. And so if the field changes and the way that they sell changes, then we change, right? But honestly, I believe that pre-COVID and post-COVID, the tactics may change, but the reality is we're still going to connect with buyers. We're still going to, tell those stories. We're still going to be out. It's just, it's the same thing, but a different way.
Got it. But and is the budget changed compared to 2020 for 2021, or is it the same budget that you guys are thinking for field marketing?
Well, in fairness, I'm not allowed to talk about budgets.
Got it.
They are being worked on. I want to, just from a program perspective, I am looking more at ABSM programs and target account programs and smaller, intimate roundtables in March. Was it March? March and April, we're running 18 different smaller roundtables. So we're, fast kind of roundtables in a box, and but we're hitting a much smaller group. So, we are trying it all. We're going to measure the success, and we're going to figure out again what works.
Got it. And all these are regional programs, right? Regional roundtables targeted for a particular region.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So then, sir, if is your suggestion for companies also to structure field marketing at a regional way? Is that how you would imagine like an ideal team would be?
I feel very strongly about it, and that's how I structure my team. So, and the reason why is, again, I've talked about this. I have a woman in the South who their programs look a little bit different, and
Interesting.
how they reach people is a little bit different than the West or Canada. They're already out there doing live events. What does that mean for us? What does that look like?
Mm.
We're shut down in California and the North. I have a woman who sits in the North. Her team has very, very, very strong opinions about what works in New York. And what works in New York is not going to work for what works in Louisiana. We do, and you're thinking, Sarah, that is not scalable. And it is. Because what happens is we pick some really great objectives. We build some very scalable programs across, North America, and then we sprinkle in what works in the region. And it's been a successful model for me. I've been doing this for a long time.
So this may be a dumb question to ask, but can you give me a tactical example of how a program in Louisiana will be different from how a program in, say, New York?
Well, they just don't like the same things. So, you go back to your customer. It's not about me, right? It's about how does the customer buy? And, it's just different. And we're trying to appeal to the customer, and we're trying to figure out what they like. And so, again, it's more like, hey, I know that I'm sitting in the field and my customer is here, here, and here. Why wouldn't I surround that particular place with my program? I'm not going to use Louisiana, but I can use California and the Pacific Northwest, and I know they love craft beer, and we just did a craft beer program here that we have not done in other places, and it worked out swimmingly.
So on that point, I think you touched upon this point before, where you talked about engagement, right? And recently, I heard this sentence called, Zoom fatigue is real, but Netflix fatigue is not, right? Like, you are hooked onto sort of Netflix, but not Zoom, right? Is it because the programs that are being done today are more around, hey, this is the presentation, go through the slides, and they don't focus too much on what the end customers want? Is that the missing link as to why people say Zoom fatigue is real? Or is that like what is missing is what I'm trying to understand. Why are people saying that Netflix? I just watch Netflix all day, but not like I'm not used to going to these Zoom roundtables of sorts. Is it because people are missing out something?
So I'm going to give you my opinion.
Yeah.
But I have worked from home before the pandemic even hit. So this working from home was not a new thing for me. But I've been experiencing Zoom fatigue where my eyes are burning and all of that. And I think what's going on in these back-to-back meetings that I'm having is that I have to engage more, pay attention more, be on more. I feel it in my back a little bit that I'm more stressed. And I think all of that has like this influence on how fatigue works, as opposed to chilling in my bed watching the Great British. So I feel like it's a natural, hey, one's working, one's not.
Yeah.
But that is, I don't know.
Got it.
My back hurts right now. I could just be old.
No, but that's a good point. I agree with you. So since we have 5 more minutes, I have one important point that I want to touch upon, which you sort of mentioned before. There is a lot of buzz about hybrid events. Even I don't understand what is going to happen in the hybrid world, right? Like people say it's going to be hybrid, but I don't know what exactly it means, right? Can you touch upon that a little bit in terms of what do you envision this model that is going to be, right? Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So Autodesk just did an independent study of around 5,000 people, and they kind of laid out what was happening in the events world. The study did actually for the next, now and beyond. And they said in fall 2020 to spring 2021, it will be digitally focused. So that's when they're
really what, sorry? I didn't hear that one.
Digitally focused only.
Okay.
And so they're aiming to engage a ton and try to figure out, how owning your customer and how do they like to, what do they like at home? Are they family oriented? What are they doing? Find creative ways to get to them. Spring 2021 to fall 2021, there was the results came back that there was a combination between digital and small in-person events. So we're not saying the big person events yet. And so, what I saw in the results is that they're, capping these events for social distancing. I see. And so the event organizers have to figure out, the top 20, like who do you want there? If you can only have 20% of your audience, you've got to figure out who are those top 20 highly valued audience, more like a VIP situation, and then the rest can be virtual. And then fall 2021 and beyond, they're saying that you can for both. And this is when you're talking about like the hybrid. Back in the day, the live events, and this is my opinion, the live events were key, right? And so now what they're saying, and I believe this to be true, is that you need to treat virtual events and live events equally, because we're hitting a group of people that still want to be there in person, but for whatever reason, family, children, they can't get away from work. They're still important, and they should be treated equally, but they couldn't make it to the 5-day Vegas trip. So I think, if I had to do a prediction, it would be that we as event marketers need to figure out how to make, two things equal the same experience.
And can we get the survey? Is it going to be published live, Sarah? Is it a confidential survey?
I don't know.
Because I'm very, very keen to look at the results of the survey. But in case you guys publish it, let us know. We'd love to look at it.
Yeah. I love that you ask me these questions. They might be no.
So there's one question that somebody's asking. Just one second. There is a video question of sorts. Yeah, I can hear you, Palash.
I have a question. So given that this will be seen by many field marketers who would look for inspiration as they are planning for next year, I wanted to understand, is there a difference in which the 2021 strategy for companies which are heavy on inbound marketing versus who are heavy on, say, more outbound sales? Will the field marketing strategy differ in some key ways for both of them, given the world will largely be virtual next year as well?
Well, field marketing in its definition that I have is really supporting outbound sales teams. So in my mind, when you drive to the inbound, you're really talking about a demand gen team, which is equally as important. But, I really focus my whole strategy on sales in the field. Now, with that being said, there are BDRs, there are, inside sales reps, all of that, that want a little piece of field marketing every once in a while. And that is, we are trying to figure out, hey, do we do the lunch and learns for the BDRs? What does this look like? But at the end of the day, with the resources that we have, we focus on the field.
Got it. Awesome. So there's one more question that's coming up. So I just want to pick that up. I think there's a person called Samuel. Hi, Sam. Hey, hi.
I had was going back to kind of this regional differences that you brought up. Do you see like virtual events not having just a template, but you're going to have to adjust, right? For some, you may have like, curious to know if you're integrated to systems like Sendoso, where you're going to ship like a bottle of wine and right before the event and then post event, right? So getting kind of that the experience that we would have had if we all like had met up at a fancy Hyatt, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are currently doing that. In fact, we call them event wrappers.
Oh,
so,
wow. Okay.
so a lot of the team has been sending out, when we'll go to a trade show, like Women in Construction, right? We'll sponsor the wine night or the speaker wine night, because that's been a really big deal for us. And so we actually build these event wrappers where we ship, a flight of wine, or we do things, and then we bring in a sommelier and kind of talk about the wines that they've gotten. So absolutely. And when I talk about ABSM, that's also what we're doing with those ABSM boxes. We're actually shipping some, boxes and things like that to high targeted accounts that have also joined some of these events. So it's a hybrid model of that as well, that we haven't done before.
Got it. And just a quick follow-up. So in terms of like tracking all of this, is this going to happen like in Salesforce? I mean, how do you put all of this together, right, for event spend and ROI?
It's a lot. So we track, obviously, Marketo to Salesforce. So that's our bread and butter. We build our programs in Marketo, and we track Close One in Salesforce.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Cool, Sarah. I don't want to keep you long for this. I think we're out of time. But thank you again so much for coming to the session. I think there is a few things that I learned. I would probably put it out as a LinkedIn post of sorts, but I will definitely. I really like the discussion that you had. So thanks a lot for sort of discussing your thoughts on it.
Oh, perfect. Then if anybody wants to get a hold of me and ask me more, I'm here. I promise I'll do more on LinkedIn.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot, guys, for coming to the session. It was all lovely meeting you. I hope you learned a bit. And in case you have any questions, feel free to connect with Sarah over LinkedIn. And I hope she responds to you guys' messages. But but yeah, thanks a lot again.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye.